Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this pregame show here on IslandStats.com. It's Bermuda's second night of competition in the women's under 18, under 17 World Cup qualifiers. Earlier today, Panama defeated Suriname 8-0. They copied their opening match against Bonaire with a score of 8-0. Bermuda will be looking to get the points necessary to keep pace with Panama, as the two will clash on Wednesday night right here at the Philadelphia Southfield Stadium here at the National Sports Center. So tonight we are faced with a must-win situation to keep pace with Panama. Bermuda won their opening match on Saturday night, defeating Suriname 7-0. And we'll be looking for a similar performance this time around against Bonaire. I'm going to be soon joined by a co-host in Andrew Griffith and Garrett Punchy Dill. They're just running a tad bit late, but we want to reflect on that opening match of Saturday night, where Bermuda clearly, right from the start, dominated Suriname, scoring early and scoring often to finish with a 7-0 win. We are hoping to get the team sheets. We'll be able to bring you the starting lineups momentarily. And I believe we do have them. Let me just make sure. This is Team Bonaire and Team Bermuda. So starting for Bermuda tonight, it's going to be Kyra Simmons, Tati Glasgow, Evans Welch, Antoinette Berry, Janaya Seeley, Avery Taylor, Milan Gibbons Thomas, Daly Otterbridge, Zalay Showers, Nyla Samuels, and Riley Kahn. It looks as if Bermuda have the players that started on Saturday night. Just want to confirm, but that's the starting lineup. On the bench is Sydney Denkins, Semenya Basden Scott, Arzani Evans Waldron, Priya Dill, Nadia Medeiros, Maya DuPont, Kyra Dean, Chloe Curling, Kaylee Dolan, and Amaya James. Those are the reserves for tonight's second match, with the head coach, Kerry Adams, Carl Roberts, Michelle Painter as the goalkeeping coach, Jaleesa Robinson as the physiotherapist, Jake Littlejohn, team trainer, and Kit Man is Dion Durling, and team manager is Giovanna Douglas. So that's the starting lineup for Bermuda, and the reserves, as well as the coaching staff. It looks as if it's an unchanged starting lineup from Saturday. I'm just going to confirm that. And we'll just see. Yeah, unchanged starting lineup from Saturday night. And we are joined by Garrett Punchy Dill. Just give me a sec. And we have Punchy. Well, evening, Punchy.
Yes.
Excitement right from the start. Saturday night, Bermuda responded to Panama's big win that they had early in the day. Panama have a game won 8-0 over Suriname, and now it's time for Bermuda to respond. But again, as I said on Saturday night, it's more important that we get the 3 points to stay with Panama, and then let the chips fall where they may on Wednesday. But the other scenario could be that we could draw with Panama. So we have to also look to capitalize on our chances to make sure that goal difference isn't too far enough. If we don't win the group, we want to be one of the second best teams in the group of the tournament. So that's also weighing on the coaches' minds as well. But share your thoughts on what you're hoping. There's a lot of different conditions tonight. The wind isn't blowing in the same direction, although it is blowing. What are you looking forward to tonight?
Well, there's two things that that victory on Saturday and the amount of people that are talking about it throughout the country on the place, my workplace, it's just unbelievable. It's like everybody was coming now. Of course, that victory really is like galvanizing the country again.
Mm-hmm.
But what's significant also about that victory Saturday night? It was, you can win and the coaching you won't be happy to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when we left this stadium on Saturday night, we were happy what we witnessed and how those goals were scored.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Suriname. I think Suriname was very disciplined. But we expect a little different in terms of quality.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably grown in terms of the structure of the women's game down there also. But I think significantly what's important, getting back to what you were saying about getting back to tonight's game, important that we stay calm, we don't, because we're probably playing against weaker opponents in this competition, right? It's just to stay calm and do exactly what they did the other night. Started well. When the opportunities do arise, score them.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed on Saturday night that they are capable of doing it.
Yeah. And but the one thing I think the coaches have been going over with them over the last day or two is it gets harder as it goes on, because your expectations now is, we can go and thump this team, but you have to execute the plan in order to do so. I think a lot of teams get ahead of themselves sometimes when they think, last week that team lost 8-0, so we should put 8 in them or 9 in the Marcells, but that's not always the case at times, is it?
No, good point, Joe. Complacency could set in easy in terms of how, we're going to beat these guys. Everybody was thinking today about, we should really be beating Bonaire.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if they play the way they played on Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
and the movement was good, the finish move was really, really exquisite. I couldn't believe some of the goals that I saw witnessed. And they weren't, these were well taken goals.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what I think, getting back to your point about how to do tonight, what's so important about how they play and how they approach this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they stay within the perimeters of what the coaching staff wants,
Right.
not everybody trying to do the game by themselves and say, no,
Mm-hmm.
I can score this goal. I thought at times the other night, we kind of got, when it was like 4 or 5,
Right.
we start losing a little bit of balance in terms of keeping possession.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that will be of concern. I mean, the coaches probably spoke about that, and they probably looked at reviewed the tapes.
Right.
But those are the kind of things that have to be aware of. If everybody's expecting you to come and beat this game tonight at like 6, 7, 8,
Mm-hmm.
that's another difficult. I wouldn't say difficult, but if they get off to a good start,
Right.
and like I did the other night, I think we're in for another entertaining game for Bermuda.
Sure. When you look at Milan Gibbons Thomas, who scored the 4 goals the other night, a consistent threat in the final third. She has been a mainstay in the squad for several years, and is often the focal point of the Bermudian attack. Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is probably one of the first times I really watched and studied her. Her movement is good. She plays well. She meets up well.
Mm-hmm.
Her playing with her back towards the goal, holding up the ball and bringing the midfielders in. And she's, what's most of her power on it, her running off the ball, how she plays off that line. She didn't get a lot of offsides. I think the wider players did.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 wingers, they were offside more.
Right.
But I think she provides such a focal point in the attack. And then she finished. Well, I couldn't believe it. The second or third goal she scored from outside when she was on that side. The ball was she took 2 steps and the ball was put in the far corner. I was like, whoa, unbelievable. But the 2 wide players, because it looks like they're playing a 4-3-3 system.
Right.
It looks like that. The fullbacks don't come high; they stay, and I think maybe it suits our culture.
Right. I was going to ask you that. We're joined by Andrew Griff. Griff, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
All right. I'm coming to you shortly, but I was going to ask you that, Punchy, because over the years we've seemed to play a lot better with the 4-3-3 because that's been what we came up with, throughout our careers and so forth. Now we have more quote unquote technical coaches, but does the style of 3-5-1, does that work for our the way we play football? And I think we struggle with that because having one guy up top is not always it puts us on a back foot already because that one against four don't always work out for us. But when we play that three up front, three in the midfield to battle, I think that suits our style of football more. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think what we talked about also our style first, the
Hmm.
culture of us. I think I know when I was playing with North Indian, we would triple crown, and we would revert to 4-3-3 or 4-4-2.
Right.
But we would still play with two wide players,
Yes.
and sometimes we played with Arthur Bean and Gumbo at
Mhm.
one time as double strikers, depending on who we played against.
Right.
But the 4-3-3 system for us in this country seems to work because we always seem to produce these wide attacking good players.
With players,
Right?
yeah.
Every good stuff now, like we just have this flash and brilliance from wide players.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, like you say, like, oh, the systems have changed. I think it's very confusing for
Right.
people.
Right.
And for amateur players that play something, I would just stick to basic
Basic.
4-3-3.
Hmm.
And I watched game one. The coach Adams was bringing the wide players inside to act as midfielders and get balls through the channels.
Right.
I was like, ooh, smart move,
Hmm.
smart move. But what was most again getting back to the point that we're talking about? That seems to be the most. That should be for me. That should be like a blueprint
Hmm.
for even senior team.
Right.
Like, well, but flashy players walking. We have a good striker system, so let's fix the other part. But that part of playing three high,
Uh,
it seems to work.
yeah,
just
because it
seems to
stretches the other team.
Yeah.
Griff, welcome. Bermuda come off the Saturday night game with a 7 win over Suriname. Suriname lost 8-0 to Panama earlier today. It's Bermuda's turn to get on going with Bonaire. What are you hoping to see this evening?
I got a chance today to look at all of the girls from the first two games, and I wouldn't have seen the girls from today because I don't think they're up on CONCACAF site right now. But what I was trying to determine by watching the girls was it's obvious now that Suriname and Bonaire are the weakest two teams in the group. So I was hoping to try to learn something to see how close Bermuda would be to Panama, and it's difficult to tell from that game because of the 8 goals I saw two penalties, two breakaways when they beat the offside trap, one-on-one with the keeper, and one free kick that I think flew over the keeper's head because I think she's a little short. So it's difficult. So the game to watch that we're looking forward to is Bermuda and Panama to see how they match up. And tonight's game will give us some sort of indication, I think, of what that game will be like. So I'm hoping that we can put in a good performance against Barnett tonight.
Yeah. With the other thing in the back of the coaching staff's mind would be if you don't win the group, be one of the second best teams in this first round. So obviously that's what they'll be looking forward to, but have to take care of business tonight. That's the most important thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you know do they start with the same 11 since they had?
The same 11 is starting tonight as
Okay,
they
okay.
start on Saturday night. That negates any injuries or anything that would have happened on Saturday night. Everybody looks healthy to be starting, so it's up to them to continue to put on the show.
What's the crowd looking like so far?
I was told it's not that large tonight, but it's quite large on Wednesday night. So we wait to see. I'm going to go back to Punchy in a second. Daily Outerbridge, Punchy. the midfield forward. She was getting stocky and versatile player known for her work rate and ability to create chances for others. She was the one, I think, creating a lot of chances on Saturday night. Versatile player, yeah, because she could pretty much play on the left side or the right side. She's going to get stuck in right from the start.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's really she's feisty too. Isn't she?
Yeah,
She's a bit
yeah,
feisty too. She's
So
real.
if you remember that I asked the coaches last when they were on, because the coaches were ball winners that were tough tacklers. Would that be the player you would say fits that bill?
Fits that perfectly. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely.
Well, getting back to Daly, I've been watching her. I think she came up with a little footage.
Oh,
I think,
okay.
yeah, I'm sure that, and with the headband and
Yeah.
watching it, but I used to remember when she was like 6, her mother would be down in North Village, associated with North Village,
Okay.
and the coach, anyway, but all the time, you watch this young girl playing, and we would watch the game, she be playing and dribbling and stuff like that.
Okay.
But now I see her now, and I just see her growth. I mean, first of all, she's grown up.
Right.
Yeah. But the other thing that she's running, her crosses could be a little bit better at
Mhm.
times, right? But I like her, she's very direct
Right.
in her dribble. Like, she's very direct. Like, there's no back heels, and she might just, she play a ball back, get it back, and first thing I noticed about her, she attacks the space,
Yes.
right? And her cross can be a little back, but what I like about her is she is she really is an entertaining player to watch.
Okay.
And she 40 balls, some stuff she done. I thought, the surname. I was sitting in the side in the first half,
Right.
and I was like, whoa, her, her skill level,
Mhm.
Again, her fight is still young,
Yeah.
but yeah, and she really is creative. And then the other side, the wider player. So those two wide players create havoc.
Right. Right.
Created havoc again for
Yeah,
Serbia,
yeah,
one on ones.
Evans Roach.
Oh yeah,
Evans Roach.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 yeah. And then the other thing what I noticed also the transition game. Already done on it that I see Coach Adams and Coach Roberts.
Carl Roberts.
As when we lose possession.
Mhm.
Where did they end up? What part of the area the field is? And then when we counterattack, break the wide and forward, wide and making those runs. So very very impressed. But we do know again that Suriname didn't offer a lot.
Right.
It's just they were a little bit when you look at the players that they have the quality.
Mhm.
The goalkeeper wasn't really good at all.
Right. Right.
But then you look at them and you say, wow, they have 2 or 3 players that we could stand up. But look what they look today.
Mhm.
But I just think that again, Bermuda does people that we talk to 2 wide players,
Right.
they add a lot to transition game that the coaches are implementing.
Right. Griff, just before you came on, Punchy and I were talking about formation, and I think we both agreed that we've seen over the years when Bermuda played 4-3-3, we tend to do a lot better only because the field spread out, and we often have produced wide players who are dynamic in speed and control of the ball that could get the ball over to the center forward kind of thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it depends on the opposition, though. And because sometimes you dictate, and other times like it's thrust upon you. So it's hard to tell. What I also want to ask is, in lopsided games, are like defenses, or especially the goalkeeper, don't really get tested. Did our goalkeeper get tested in the first game?
Did the goalkeeper get tested in the first game?
Our goalkeeper?
Yeah.
I think not really, just once or twice. Not really, not once
Yeah.
or twice. No, not really at all.
So she'll spend long periods of the game, if not all the game, basically as a spectator, and the same risk could happen tonight. It's probably the same with Panama's goalkeeper. So it won't be so they play each other that the defenses and the goalkeepers will really get tested.
but that's one thing, over the years, um, you often heard coaches tell the goalkeeper, stay in the game, stay in the game, stay in the game, come out of the box when the ball's in the other half of the field, just kind of mirror what's happening, and that's how the goalkeeper stays, active in the game, because obviously you're not touching the ball as often as the other goalkeeper. So it's a matter of just staying focused in the game, because I think I know what you're alluding to is that because you don't have constant touches of the ball, you're not making a save here and there, you tend to lax just a little bit in the mental.
Sharpness.
Would that be correct?
Yeah. You're not as sharp, and like it's difficult to be cooled and spend all that time in a game, maybe two games, and then you expected to come up big in the third game, and it's especially for a young player. Like maybe older players are used to that, but I think younger players it's difficult to switch on and off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's something that the coaching staff would have to stay on top of. It's just like if the right winger or the left winger don't get a touch for 5 minutes, that first ball that comes to them, they kind of let the ball. The first touch isn't as good because they haven't had a touch of the ball in a while. So it goes the same kind of thing for the goalkeeper. I remember I was working with John Tucker, and I was telling players that over a 90-minute period, you might think Punchy had a great game, but Punchy only touched the ball or had the ball for a minute and 20 seconds the entire 90 minutes. And players couldn't believe it because, and I timed it. We picked a player and I timed it. They said, oh, that player had the best game. They done everything, but he only had the ball for a minute and 18 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
that's right.
it's what you do for the rest of that time
Right.
that you stay in the game, because you're not going to have the ball for the 90 minutes.
Yeah, but that's easier for outfield players because that's moving and running. Like when the game gets quiet, well, goalkeeper, sometimes you'll see defenders passing it back to the goalkeeper. Take a touch. That's to
Yes,
like let them do something.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I would like, and Griff, I'd like to mention also some other players that were very outstanding. First of all, let's go to the back. I thought the goalkeeper she wasn't really tested well, but she did have a few shots that she had to deal with. Like,
Right.
when she won. But they had a few shots on goal. She did pretty well. She's not that tall,
Mhm.
but her distribution is good. And the other thing that what I noticed right away is that they play up the back. She knows that they know exactly. Okay, they roll the ball up. The wing backs go high, right? And they play in the middle. It comes back and they play out wide. They get them. They get themselves out of those type of situations. But I want to make mention of a few other players that I was very, to see. I was very taken back by them. First of all, the number 14 is center half.
Okay.
The center half, and the two midfielders, the center half. The
Right.
two midfielders. First of all, the center half, the one that just stays calm.
Right.
And I just kept watching her, and her first of all, her decision making.
Oh, showers. Showers. Yes.
I think she stays calm.
That's your
And
captain.
kept,
Yeah.
she just, and her passing rate was like next to none. I
Right.
was like, wow, she could pass and challenge. She's always going to get the ball back. She stays calm. She never makes her timing of tackles
Mhm.
are good. The other thing about her, she's a very good leader. She's not shouting at people. She's always, her hand goes up the corners.
Right.
She is organized. She
Mhm.
organizes things. But what I'm most impressed about her calmness her calmness of playing.
Right. Right.
The other people I want to mention is two midfielders. Um, I thought that there was one there that really, really stood out.
Would that be the midfielder would be Riley Khan, number 18,
Number
or
18.
number 18, Riley Khan? Yeah, she's abroad in an academy, so you would see a little difference in her because
Yeah, it's a midfielder that I was quite taken aback by. Right? I just watched it. A lot of things go through her. Like
Mhm.
when the game seems to be a little bit out of it and trying to keep possession, she just plays this simple pass. And she's always looking over her shoulder. She checks her shoulder. What I'm looking at in the game is getting a little bit out of, after it was 4-5-0, then the balls were being lost. She just calmed the team down. And, she just plays. What I like, I told my son today too, but I was telling my son, I said, listen, he's supposed to come tonight. But I said, I'm hoping that more you coaches come and just watch
Mhm.
these young women play. And again, it's because these simple things that she asks a midfielder to do, she does. She just does these
Right.
simple things, and
Right.
I saw her get herself out of a situation. I was like, wow. So I could tell when you tell me she's in the academy
Mhm.
that um her she looks, like I said, she looks over her shoulder.
Mhm.
She always looking to play a ball forward instead of sideways. And if she plays the ball sideways, she goes to get it back. And her next pass is always forward and she gets the ball back. So what I'm saying is she seems to be, she's not quick, but she's very decisive and she's very calm, especially what you need in the middle of the ball.
Right. It's one of those things where she's in an academy those small things are being drilled to her each and every day.
Yeah.
So it becomes a normal thing. Whereas some of these other girls, they're in school, they're playing football when they get an opportunity to, they're training at the national sport when the opportunity presents itself. So the coaches have to drip that in a short period of time where she's getting it on a daily basis. She's getting it in training, she's getting it in games, and they're active where she is. So just that awareness and calmness would help her in that environment because she goes through it all the time.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting against Panama. I mean, I'm gonna watch tonight. We'll watch tonight about how she plays. They haven't changed the team,
Right.
right? It's gonna be interesting to see how she stands out. Good technical players
Mhm.
and the players that can make something happen out of nothing
Right.
and stand up honestly. But before I go for that, I just want to mention those people. But all of them. Is again, I watch the coaching staff how calm they stay.
Right.
Um, what we thought, what I witnessed on Saturday was really a unique time for Bermuda in
Mhm.
terms of what this competition being on our shores.
Right.
It really is important that we show up. That and then because like my daughter's calling me tonight, she wants to eat, watch the game, and then they call me and make comments. So Bermuda is over the world watching this. Cousins are playing, some family members or the girlfriends or friends and daughters are playing.
Mhm.
It's important, and I thought it did for us thus far.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Um, Griff, when we talk about these type of games and hosting these type of games, we asked the president on Saturday night about added pressure playing at home and making sure that everything's in place for them. You were part of the executive of the Bermuda Football Association, and then it came to home games. Is it a little more stressful on the LOC, the local organizing committee?
I would definitely say yes because it's so many things behind the scenes that you don't see dealing with your referees, the hotel, possibly like the hospital and medical staff and everything like that. So coordinating tickets and whatnot and dealing with dignitaries. So there's always more to do. And you also have the thing with international games, making sure you get the anthems right. Like it's not where a president has lost his mind, but we played the wrong anthem. So that's a part that you don't get over. So there's a lot of little things that you have to look at, and it's not the football is the easy part. So I would say the players love it, but I think it's easier for the FA to go away and play games because they don't have that extra added pressure.
Mm. That's true. And the added financial burden initially.
Yeah, I think it's from I think I've been out for over 10 years. There, I think the money and the dynamics and the finances of it all is changed since then. Like, not to speak out of turn, the money is shared more equitably, so
Mhm.
teams don't have to struggle as much financially, and it's a completely different world now in CONCACAF. So I think the financial pressures are eased somewhat compared to what they were like 15, 20, 30 years ago.
Mm.
Well, the other thing that you just spoke about is the midfielder that's playing in an academy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting to find out the background of these young women,
Yeah.
young girls that are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Were they playing that? But when you're in high school or you're in overseas, your your season runs from what August, September to
Yeah.
maybe the end of December, and
Yeah,
then you
pretty
might have
much. Yeah.
you might have an Easter tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But how often are they playing?
Right.
And but again, this is a good start for the country. I thought that's a good start for the country, and it's actually talked about.
Mm-hmm.
When people pick up the papers and wow, I didn't, and I was hoping that it would be well, in today's paper, you see, the pictures and stuff like that. To promote this game,
Mm.
it's very important.
Right.
Even having the players speak about, we had them on the show last week, the
Mhm.
two ladies, young ladies, and it's we have to look at in terms of where we're going, and I think at least it's a start.
Yeah. Raleigh's in Benfica Residential Academy in Tampa, Florida. That's where she's
That's what she is.
she is. So
Uh-huh.
they play quite a bit of football
Yeah.
at the youth level, and they play all year round kind of thing. It's not
Yes, exactly.
it's like a college play, like you said, from September, then November, December is done, and then all you're doing is in the new year you're kind of having just kick arounds.
Yeah.
Nothing real competitive.
Uh-huh.
You might play you might play another school in a friendly game, but how meaningful is that?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not competition. It's just getting out to keep the legs going. But the fact that she's in Benfica Residential Academy, it bodes well for this team because she brings that quality. And I know you always talk about quality, and you saw that on Saturday night.
Yeah.
She brings that quality to the team, and it kind of raises other people's ability to play because now I can give her the ball and feel confident that I know she's going to be able to do something with it, and I can get the ball back kind of thing.
Well, but that's another thing we talked about the other night too, about the promotion of the women's football in the house, good around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, again, the host what the analysis of the league, maybe we would, what the president was saying that try to push it in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were saying that we lose the fact that a lot of people away from schools.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we're going to be doing more and put emphasis on the school structure program.
Yes.
And we promote it, really promote it.
Mm-hmm. 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 And but that's a good point. Yeah. We just have to make not only the parents feel confident enough that the environment that they're going to be in is a good one,
Yes.
that they can then feel free to allow them to play. I think a lot of that comes down to environments and people making sure that their young person is in an environment that it's safe for them to play, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Mhm.
And that's where I think a lot of people are either staying in the game or getting out of the game. And as we've always indicated, and Griff, we've seen so many other sports in Bermuda promote themselves and attract a lot of people away from the football, to their sport kind of thing, because what they offer, they're kind of selling themselves. Would you agree?
Yeah, like I see as one of those sports is rugby. They're making a concerted effort to get more athletic players in. So and players that have never played rugby before, they're taking them from other sports. So yeah, it's up to the national governing bodies to promote those sports and make it as attractive as possible for players to want to play.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And there's something else we discussed also about the Monte team. Like we're looking at her, the city hockey,
Good.
main
Yeah.
pitch.
Mhm.
A lot of these girls, that's when we live in a country the size and the amount of sports that we play,
Mhm.
different types of sports.
Yes.
If the football structure is not there, then they will gravitate towards other things that are
Yes.
structured. And it's
Yeah.
got to be now when you say parents
Mm-hmm.
who travel more, who see more, who are more realistic. Like, okay, I want my child into a very safe program,
Right.
but I want it to be open program
Yes.
and an organized program. And I think that's one thing that's most important. where we're headed. And that comes from the clubs and the organization that the clubs will have with the association. And again, our show discusses that, talks about the board to attention. I didn't realize it about when you brought to my attention about the girl. Yeah, I see the school competitions,
Yes.
and I'm like, all these girls play. But then you don't see the same girls playing at the club level.
Right.
But I had an example. Years ago, I had an Italian friend in Toronto, and he had a son, I think he was about 13, 14, and he was really good at ice hockey and football, but he played on both because they were like cross training for each other.
Yes.
And when he got to 14, coaches said, hey, you're not playing around. Choose. And they force him because those sports become so demanding. They become 12-month activities. They say you can only at your age you're at, where your development is, you can't juggle both. Make a choice. And you have to make a decision at 14.
You know what I want to say? Because again, discussions I've had with people saying, the government, the sporting part of the government, the sports director, the minister of sports and education. How serious are we going to get with this game? Is it just part time for us? Be happy that we are in the World Cup. Are we talking about real development here, real organization, and being able to compete with the Panamanians, with the Costa Ricans, especially at the youth level? I'm hoping that this could be, we can really take this serious.
Yeah.
In terms of the country could take this serious, in terms of the government and the sporting bodies could take this serious and saying this is not becoming just a weekend sport.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can possibly speak a bit on it because we even over the last few years, so he's been in power for a little bit. The OBA had a chance as well, and we saw similar budgets for sport from both parties. And I honestly believe when people sit down to do the budget, sports has already allocated that fund. They because they look at sports as recreation. Both governments look at sports as recreation. Sports is a way to grow people, friendship, relationship, partnerships, all of that. Utilize sport, but because the mere fact that it's underfunded, that every sport, not just football, every sport struggles year after year funding, and 9 times out of 10 they have to go back to youth and sport and try to get more funding, but not always the funds are there to allocate to allow them to have that. So it's almost, you have to look at the government and not just the minister of sport. You have to look at where do they want sports to go? And I'll draw a reference. After Flora Duffy won the gold medal, all of a sudden, the government had $60,000 to give to her. When she needed that $60,000 10 years ago, as she was preparing to win the gold medal. You know what I mean? We reward after your accomplishment as opposed to helping you reach that accomplishment. You know what I mean? That's where we have to get to as a country. And I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking all sports, and from the grassroots to the adult. We need to one, improve our facilities at the grassroots level to allow those young people to prepare properly and so forth. And we could be talking about models, but that's what we need to do from the outset. And then the culture will grow into that, just like that. If you look at take American sports, they invest in the youth baseball, youth football, youth soccer. They have facilities that these kids are playing all year round, and because they provide, then it's weird for them to do it. But our problem in Bermuda is that it's not always provided for them to be allowed to do. Somebody might say, "Oh well, that's North Village's problem. Well, that's PHC's problem. Well, that's Georgia's problem." If we provide everything needed from the youngster, then eventually the need for Westgate becomes less because they will figure out that I'm better off playing a sport that I love and I've got the opportunity to get out of Bermuda and do something and come back and contribute to my country as opposed to what else do I do?
It's a good point. It's a very valid point, Earl. And because I'm not going off line of the game.
Yeah.
But it's all significant because now that with what happened on Saturday night and the expectations now, they were sitting on, and thinking about us sitting on, we're having a conversation about this. Where do we go from here? It's like,
Yeah.
where do we go from here? And I think that you made some really good points about clubs. Then the other thing, last but not least, I want to make sure that when the government gives a club $25,000 or $30,000, someone's got to be accountable or be held accountable where that money is spent in development,
Right.
how it's spent. I mean, you just give somebody $30,000, you want to know exactly what their intent. There must be
Well,
some type
in order
of
to get the funds, you have to fill out a lot of paperwork to
Application.
be able to put together. And that when that funding is given, they do have somebody that goes around to ensure that that what you put in for, that's the take back from.
Okay.
Now, how often does that happen? I don't know. We've seen just 2 months ago or a month ago, the government gave out over $1 million to several clubs, and organizations. But the problem with that is we don't know what they ask for the money for. You know what I mean? And to then go and look to see whether or not whatever you put ask for the money for is actually been done. That's up to the club, and they have to make sure that they're fulfilling the needs and wants of and requirements of getting the money.
Well, I think that the other thing is most important. Let's just not hope that let's work towards where this is just not a one-off situation.
Yes.
We get in this competition. What happens on Wednesday night comment is so important.
Yes.
But even if it doesn't happen,
What's the plan?
What's the plan?
What's the
next
plan? Yes.
What's the next plan for the summer programs, for the adults, even for the young boys? And I want to see more of that. Versus some organized. We're talking about what the Americans do, what the Canadians are doing,
Yes.
right? Year round.
Yeah. Griff, let me ask you, because when you're part of the association, did they have a women's program?
Yes, but it was at that time what it ended up being. It ended up being very lopsided because you had like two powerhouse teams that beat up on everybody, so that wasn't good. And they tried to draft, and they've tried a lot of things to keep it going, and it's I can't say fizzled. It didn't quite work out as they wanted it to work out. So I think all the technical players have to get around the table again to see what they can do to have a thriving league.
Yeah, we did have the president on Saturday night. He mentioned the same thing. Last year we had 6 teams. This year we only had, 2 seasons ago we had 6 teams. Last season we only had 3 because of the loyalty to clubs. Some people don't want to move away from that, and then of course the ballot players all want to play together kind of thing. So it is that lopsided. However, what we need to do is give clubs an incentive to keep playing, and then eventually they become stronger. I think by saying, okay, you don't want to take part because you're taking 8s and 9s or whatever, that's not going to be forever. We've seen that over the years. We saw a few years ago, we saw Island Rangers and Social Club getting 100 goals against year after year. But guess what? They stopped with it and they kept playing. Island Rangers got promoted. Social Club got promoted because they kept playing. They wouldn't give up. And that's what we need to give those clubs that are in those positions. Of course, it's a little different for them because they'll go find something else to do. But we need to encourage them to stay, not just for themselves, but for the girls that are out here like today. They need a league to play in. If they're not going to be overseas, they need to be playing football on a regular basis on island, and we have to be able to provide that one way or the other.
But it's difficult because the pool is smaller, and some of the battle players are playing overseas already, so they won't play in the summer due to whatever's going on with whatever organization that they're in. But if you face it, the female players start playing and they're like 14, 15, 16, and most of them by 25, they're done. Like
Right.
most of the good
Okay.
players, when they have their first child, give birth, they don't come back.
Right.
It's some do, but not many of them. So it's a
Right.
different. They have different issues.
But the other option is this: instead of having 11 aside, right? Play 7 aside, smaller, make you feel smaller, right? Now, guess what happens? You know, those 20 girls or those 25 girls that are on that team that's dominating the league because they're not going to play as often. Guess what? Now they're going to say, okay, well, let me go over to this team. Let me go over to this team because I want to play. So now you're creating more teams and balance of such. You know what I mean? Because as you know, nobody wants to come every week and either not be in the team or sit on the bench.
Exactly. Good point, Eric. Good point. The other thing that I'm going to bring to your attention, you guys, is about also what happens when we do the summer program. You know, when music seems to shut down when it comes to the summer, and all of a sudden, the interest in county cricket,
Yes, yes,
it's a cup match,
yes.
and so even the young girls,
Mhm.
they come back and they get drawn into that. Families fanfare. Of course,
Yeah.
it's a holiday.
Yeah.
But the eastern counties and these young ladies come from all over the other, maybe the western counties
Mhm.
or wherever it might be. So what are they doing to promote what we're talking about? To promote the game in the summertime, which is it's got to be done if we're going to keep the young
And
girls.
you have to
And
remember too that they're also fighting for the same players. The cricket board's trying to start up a women's league as well. So most of the time, the same players that play cricket are playing football.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's a balance, and it's one of those things where a lot of these girls right now in colleges or universities, they're playing football. So you already got them in the sport that they want to be in. If you don't provide the opportunity for them to play in the summer, then obviously go over to cricket or go over to another sport. But we need to make sure that we keep providing them the opportunities to play the sport in which they love the most and which can get them into their education and can get them into the national program.
I think it's yeah. I think also what we also unite as the possibilities of that. What do the other countries do? Like what do Panama do in summertime once for them, the girls?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't think they play cricket down in Panama.
The bigger country, the pool is bigger. But that's just playing devil's advocate. If you have a scholarship at a Division 1 college in the U.S., is your coach going to be happy if you're playing in a fledgling league in Bermuda in the summer?
Yeah, it's it's all a question of questions being asked, and we just at least a discussion is got to be had, and also I think what is most important. Who do you put in charge of these programs
Yeah.
to run them? And it's just like you just need to put people in charge that know what they're doing, and actually it functions so well that
Right.
everybody wants to be a part of it.
But the most important thing, and this is where I think administrations fail a lot. If they're going to have a women's league in the summer, starting in hypothetically June or July, then that league should be promoted right now. Right now. You don't wait until May and then talk about, oh, let's talk to these clubs to see if they're going to have teams, or let's wait till the men's league finishes. And no, sir, you have to be proactive and put yourself out there that this is what we want to do, this is how we want to do it, and then you get the buy-in from the players because they now feel as if somebody's taking interest in them. Not last minute, let's put it together and see what happens. That's we continue to do this over and over and over, and it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. That's what I'm hoping now. This is not a one-off situation. That it will continue. The team is supposed to be coming out, but I'm saying it will continue.
Yeah.
And then even the men's team, I'm 17, so I'm about to go witness. Hopefully, go to what's my grandson.
Oh, okay.
What do they do this summer?
Right.
And all the kids that come back from college, just come back from England.
Mm-hmm.
What's the program for them to be interested in? Because again, I know come back and go play cricket.
Right. And well, the president said on Saturday, Griff, that Now they're moving to 16, so they're going to have these tournaments every year now. These qualifiers every year. So there's plenty of football to be played, and every age group gets a tournament in every year. So it's something to look forward to. Like in the years going by, you had to wait 2 years before you had there was never like practice matches internationally. There was, you just played one-off game kind of thing. Now, like you said, things have changed in CONCACAF, things have changed in FIFA, that now the opportunity for these young people to play on a regular basis is far greater. And I think that's what we need to capitalize on and ensure that we give them the opportunities to keep playing football at the time, So,
but looking at if you go to the CONCACAF website and you look at the scores in the other groups for this tournament, you can see some parallels, because I think other countries must be facing the same issues with the women's leagues, because there are some lopsided scores, just like here. So you have the teams that probably have a bigger pool of women and are thriving leagues playing against teams that maybe have 2 or 3 teams in a domestic league, and the scores show it. Like they're not on the same level.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm just looking at Group A. Dominica and Dominican Republic, that was 7-0. Nicaragua beat Belize 6-0, and then Dominican Republic beat Virgin Islands 8-0 earlier today. So that's only Group A. So like you said, the scores are big. 6-1 for Haiti over Antigua. Guyana just edged Cayman Islands. That's in Group C, 1-0. Group D, Jamaica and Guyana drew 1-1. Honduras beat Aruba 3-1. And then in Group E, Costa Rica won 16-0 over the British Virgin Islands. Cuba beat Grenada 4-3. And in Group F, it's just been one game played. That was Trinidad drawing 2-2 with they beat Curacao. So yeah, I see what you're saying, that they have the same problem that we have. Some countries are not as advanced as others, struggling to have a program put together, and probably just putting the program together for the financial part of it.
So I think there is a person on the BFA executive that's solely dedicated to women's football, and they have a committee, and I think they're doing the things. But I guess it's not easy. That's the problem in the region. I think Sharice Bean was heading the women's committee at one point. I bumped into her, and she was saying how they're doing studies about the correlation of female players blow out their knee when they're on the menstrual cycle. I was like, wow, I never thought of that. And so they are putting a lot into it. So it's these other complications that are part of the game that make it, I guess, more complicated than the men's game.
Yeah. Well, we can hear the national anthems are being played. We just heard we just heard Bonaire's national anthem. Bermuda's national anthem is being played at this time. So it's game time, Griff. It is game time. So we'll be back on Wednesday night with another pregame show just before Bermuda and Panama take to the field. So good luck to our young ladies this evening. Hopefully they can finish the job off and get to Wednesday night's do or die match against Panama. So with that, we'll say thank you very much, Griff. Hopefully,
Cross your fingers for me. I get back to Bermuda. I'm still stuck in the snow in New York.
Get your plow out. Get your plow out.
Strap on some wings.
Okay. All right. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Good luck, Bermuda.
And
on Wednesday night.